Are you there, Mr. Nestor?
Are you talking to me? Yes, I
Are
am
you
there.
Nestor?
Oh, you're a co-host too.
Yeah, I think we got that one figured out.
Good.
Well, then I just got, well, I think James went like overboard, making sure that I was a host slash co-host in every single one. So thanks, James. Now I'm covered, I believe.
Good. Good. Now I just got to see if my co-presenter is around.
I need to think of something fun to say about you.
You don't have to say anything.
I gotta introduce you. My wild and wonderful friend from Ashland.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a lot of good conversation going on in the lunch. I just left there.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
About the different sessions so far?
Yeah, they were talking about that and about different LMSs and about QM reviews, and so.
Welcome to VictoryXR. For VictoryVR, press 1. For technology, web, and mobile, press 2. For
I can't have two co-hosts, can I?
In my box.
Okay. Well, Steve Grubb is going to be presenting with me. He's the CEO of VictoryXR.
Right.
And he's going to take us into the virtual side of it afterwards.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, when he comes in, we can make him a co-host.
Okay. I had to let everybody into my rooms, you know.
Yeah, I did too in the last one then. And apparently someone was able to let Jamie set up the room. So in that first session that I couldn't get in. So why I couldn't get into that room, I have no idea. But she was talking in the lunch chat, and she said something about if you were in my first session. So she apparently was able to have it, but why I couldn't get in,
I don't know.
I should have at least been able to get in as a participant. So even though I wasn't listed as a co-host, I don't know, weird.
I don't know.
Especially with the weird things I was getting.
Danny Coy says he requires screen sharing permission in order to present. I don't see why he's not, unless Danny Coy. I'm going to ask him to ask who he is. I thought Steve Grubs was. Danny, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, why are we doing VR mirroring?
So Steve would like to present the slideshow inside of VR, and I am serving as his cameraman of sorts. So me screen sharing will allow us to see him in VR.
Okay. So I guess I'll make you a co-host, and then that'll leave Steve to be talking through you then.
Well, Steve should also, Steve, you've got your audio going to the Zoom call, right?
I don't see him showed up yet.
And Carl, do you not, you have a presentation though also that you require sharing your screen, right?
Right.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'll share my screen, and then once I'm done, I'll turn my share screen off, and you can put yours on.
And Steve's not in yet.
Yeah, Steve's not there yet.
Let's see. Or if I audio microphone. Yep. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Video, audio. Right. Got it. Okay. This is our third time presenting this way, and we're excited about its possibilities. So please bear with us as we get this technique up and running as smoothly as possible.
Okay. We still have a good 15 minutes.
Oh, sweet. All right, cool.
So we won't start till 12:45.
Steve says he's trying to join, but is currently.
I just
Oh,
let him
okay.
in.
Great.
There he is. Hey, Steve.
I still need screen sharing.
You won't be able to get it until after Carl is done. We
Oh.
can't have one screen sharing at a time.
Yeah. Now, if you want to practice it, you can practice it, I guess.
Practicing would be good,
All right.
since we got a whole 15 minutes.
Right. I've got multiple participations can share simultaneously. So let's see.
Oh, were you able to hear me before?
No, just now.
Okay, good. So yeah, if we could allow screen sharing, then
Randy, you want to give them that?
I think it's in the settings. I did it yesterday on a Zoom. And then you will see me in VR. I'll just sort of, if you can see my my slide presentation.
Carl, it's not letting me give Steve
Hello.
permissions.
There he is.
I'm waving at you, Carl. Oh, no, I'm not. Hang on.
No, you're not. You got to put your controllers on.
Yes, okay. I'm waving at you, Carl.
I see you now.
All right.
All right, we'll go ahead and do that. There we go. There we go.
So I'm going to back up my slide presentation. and I want to see a couple things.
Okay.
And then Danny, when we go into the other room, will I be able to pull an organ up?
Sure. You've got the IFX library, so you can pull up whatever you like.
Why don't we, okay.
Do you want to like prep that beforehand?
Yeah, how do I, okay, so we go to VictoryXR, and if I want to pull up the heart, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Click it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go to the other room. Would you follow me to the other room, Danny? Let's go
Got it.
this way. All right. Oh, it's up over here too. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I want to pull up the heart, okay, and drop it right here. Got it.
How's that looking on your end, everybody?
Looks great.
Good?
Heart.
All right, I'm gonna step inside the heart. I'm gonna make it. Oop, 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 oop. Grab first, expand second.
Now, Brandy, if we had a headset on, you'd be able to be in there with him.
You got it.
All right, Danny, are you able to step inside that heart?
I already am. You made it so big I couldn't not.
All right, I'm gonna step in here with you. Can you? Oh, there we are. Now, Danny and
I
I.
see your hand. There, I see.
Inside the ventricle.
Oh boy.
All right, very good. So that works. And now to,
Fantastic.
all right.
Yeah, that was the name of a movie, Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They went inside a president to take care of a blockage or something. Nowadays,
Right.
it's a stint.
how do I pick up my coffee cup, Danny? Just reach down and grab it?
Uh-huh.
It's so far down there. I'm actually, I think
Well, are
I'm-
you seated right now?
might be.
Yeah, if you're in simulated standing, then.
Yeah, I am. That's why it's so far.
Aha, that's why.
Can I,
Yeah,
can
so-
I target it?
Nope. No, these ones have physics, so.
Shoot, I dropped my coffee cup. Can you pick it up for me, Danny?
Nope, I don't have hands.
Oh, okay. All right, so
Desktop
Carl,
mode.
you see what we're doing here and you're good with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make my presentation from here and I will talk to you out there. Good?
That's good.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes with my slides, and then I'll turn it over to Danny, and he'll go inside of here.
Okay, and I'll be waiting in here to talk to people.
Okay.
Brandy, that works for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And you should be able to speak even before we get to, like, if you have something that you want to say before that. So we'll be able to hear you.
Danny, with my mic, I've got my mic turned on both my laptop and inside Engage. Do I need to turn one of them off?
Well, how are things sounding to you on the Zoom side? Does everything sound good?
They sound good. They sound-
Wonderful. So the only place where there's feedback is on my end, but you know I can take it.
No, I'm getting a big echo when you speak, Danny, but you won't be speaking, right?
That's right.
Shouldn't be, yeah.
Well, I can mute myself. I can mute myself here and Engage. How's that?
Well, and I just muted my Engage microphone. How does that?
You shouldn't need to.
Carl?
You shouldn't need to do that.
Okay. How does that sound though right now, Carl?
Sounds fine. You sound, there's no bass or anything. It sounds great.
Great.
Okay, now I just turned my Engage microphone back on. How does this sound?
Same.
1, 2, 3. Same?
Same.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I think we've got, Danny, let's you and I work out how you're going to shoot this. Like from here, I feel like maybe when I start shooting, Danny, if you can start from farther away so people can see and sort of walk up, like maybe go to the back. Yeah, go to the back of the room and then
No problem.
walk up while I'm speaking and keep me on camera. so people can see that this is an actual lecture auditorium. Okay, yeah, now I'm gonna be presenting and you just sort of slowly walk up and shoot me. How does that sound?
Now, I can, if I look up like this, I can fit the screen and you in.
Yeah,
So if
I think that's
So should
good.
should I stand here or should I go like realistically go sit in one of these chairs?
I think people need to be able to see the screen. Maybe try sitting in a second row screen.
Second row, all right.
Just a second.
Let's give this a try. Let's give this a try.
All right, so if you're a student in the second row, take a seat. Yeah, I think I'm gonna walk up here and stand right here. I think that's better. What if you come and sit in the first row, Danny?
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Whoosh. Bop. Okay, how about, yeah.
That's good.
Got the nice rule of thirds going.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna step over here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn and talk to you from here. I think this looks like a good presentation. What do you think, Carl?
I think it's good. I think it looks good.
Okay, then we'll roll with it. I think we're done with our practice.
Okay.
Fantastic. I'll just keep the camera angle right here.
I'm gonna step out and use the restroom, Danny, and hope I don't screw everything up.
You got it. Then I'll go ahead and mute myself, or I guess we got a bit to chat. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing good. We're gonna turn the screen back to me.
Got it.
And we still got a few minutes left.
Right.
I'm thinking people will probably start coming in here now over the next couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So did you know that today is Pac-Man's 40th anniversary? It's crazy.
Wow. That makes you feel old.
It makes me feel old, and I didn't even grow up with Pac-Man.
Seems like I was older than that when Pac-Man was out, but maybe not. Maybe not when he was conceived and birthed.
Okay. Okay, Brandy, you gonna put me back to me, the screen?
You should be back. Because you're still the host.
There we go. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, we're seeing your camera feed. Were we supposed to be seeing your screen?
No, you're just seeing me.
Oh, well, okay.
I don't have my slides yet.
Okay.
No. I'm riding Air Force One now.
You look pretty dapper there, Carl.
Thank you. I feel very presidential.
And presidential.
I have a airplane, oh, not that one. I have one where I'm in an airplane too, virtual background, but mine doesn't have the Air Force One seat back, so.
Yeah. Now me and Donald go way back.
You and Donald, the Trumpster.
It looked like Yoda. Oh, man. Raphael, how are you doing?
Doing well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Glad to be here. This is my first time.
And where do you come from? What university?
I'm in Kettering College right now. Well, at home, but I work at Kettering College.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever been this way?
No, what town is that in? Kettering?
Kettering, Ohio, yes.
No, I don't think so. Oh.
Okay. It's we're part of Kettering Health Network, a chain of 9 hospitals.
Oh, okay. Are you by Canton then, or?
Say again?
You by Canton, Ohio?
No, we are in the Dayton area.
Okay. South.
Mhm.
Brandy, are you getting an echo from me?
Nope, you
Okay.
sound good. I guess I'm supposed to actually have these little housekeeping slides up, aren't I?
Which I'll strike you.
We're so busy playing that I didn't think about those. I'll get them started now.
What, admitting people?
What's that?
What, admitting people or what?
No, when we were playing with the VR stuff. That was more fun. Oh, shoot.
I'll be starting here in a couple minutes.
I guess I probably don't really even need to start these at this point now, huh?
You putting these slides up?
Yeah, can you see them?
Yeah. What, you gonna tell everybody this?
Do what I'm supposed to. So I already passed those. So here's these sessions for today that we're in now. We are in the tackling challenges of using VR in an online learning environment with Carl Nestor and Steve Grubs from VictoryXR. The next sessions and the last sessions of the day, right? The last breakout sessions anyway. Oops. And then the closing session. I'm excited about this. The Marrying, Design and Pedagogy, a newlywed closing game, not your grandma's conference closing. I think this sounds like fun. I'm excited for this.
Did you see my answer?
I didn't see any of them. I didn't. I've been working on NC Sarah all week, so I'm keeping my head above water.
Boy.
All right. Are you ready, Carl?
We'll see.
I think so.
Steve. All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Brandy Ramsey and I am with Ashland University and I will be your moderator today. At this session, we have Carl Nestor, an instructional designer with Ashland University, and Steve Grubs, the CEO of VictoryXR. And in this joint session, Carl and Steve will discuss the potential and the challenges to integrating VR into online classrooms. So gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today and presenting at our annual QM members meeting. And if you would like to jump right into this presentation, I know some of us that saw that little preview are really excited for this one. So thank you again so much for this. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay, thank you all. This is not going to be your grandmother's presentation here. Let me go ahead and pull up my slides so people can see what I've got. Can you see my slides?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, presenter. No. Okay,
Perfect.
good. So this presentation is by myself. I'm an instructional designer at Ashland University, and by Steve Grubs. He's the CEO of VictoryXR. He's going to join us, but he's going to join us in a virtual setting. Part of this talk started when the COVID-19 virus hit. Myself and David Silverberg, the director of the Talega Center in Cleveland, wanted to find out what the virus was going to do to the impact on education. And so we did a series of podcasts. And during that time, we've talked to like 38 different educators, whether it was superintendents, principals, educators across Ohio and Pennsylvania. And we found some very interesting things. And these findings were also very much applied to wanting to apply VR to a classroom. And what we found, the first thing was technological adoption rates was really pushed years ahead. People that didn't really want to go online were forced to go online. People that didn't have a knowledge of it had to learn how to do it, both at the K-12, but also at the university level. And you'll see that here we have the talk shoe. We have you can see where the podcasts are, so if you wanted to watch them, you could. There were some major gaps that we found in the online education. And these gaps are part of the challenges that we're going to have to overcome in order to use VR. The first challenge was one that really surprised me, was this economic disparity. And the saying that they would use is Maslow's before Bloom's, in that there were school superintendents that were actually going out on school buses or in their cars and delivering breakfasts and lunches to students because they didn't have it. So, you know, if we're going to talk about VR, there's this economic gap within the United States, especially within Ohio, that we've got to consider how we're going to overcome this, that, you know, just feeding the kids and having them in a safe environment. The next thing is the challenge of Wi-Fi. I was talking with a lot of people, and there's various gaps within Ohio where students do not have access to really good internet. They may not have it at their home. I know certain faculty that have to almost go to a coffee shop in order to have decent Wi-Fi. So, and we set up certain hotspots for them as well. So in order to do something with VR, we've got to consider the expense, we've got to consider the Wi-Fi accessibility. Then there's also the challenge of the budgetary constraints. When Chuck was going to do this the conference at first, we were going to have a regular presentation with regular VR, and the cheapest we could find was this foldable headset for $2. And you would slip your phone inside of that and you would look through it. It wasn't great, but it still gave you an experience of what a VR was like. The second one was a $10 to $20 VR headset. This is a dumb headset. It just has lenses in it. You put your camera in front of it, and you're able to view and be able to see 360. The third was a step up, is you had the Oculus or the Vive, but you had an Oculus Go, Oculus Quest, which was a standalone headset, and then you had the Oculus Quest, which was tethered to a computer, which allowed for stronger capabilities as far as what you could do. So you had this full range of very low to a lot higher. The thing that another challenge that we had was just staying current. Technology is changing so quickly. You have Facebook, you have Google, you have Microsoft, you have Apple. Apple is still talking about something, and they're still very secretive about it on what is going on. So you may think, okay, well, we'll do one type of thing, but then something else changes. And what we found was that phone-based VR is actually dying. Facebook is slowly killing off its Samsung Gear, and they're discontinuing it. There just wasn't enough money in these phones, phone-based headsets, that they wanted to get away from it. So the lower ranges was much harder. So it was more of a problem. We also had a logistical challenge of distributing the headsets. With the coronavirus, are students going to stay home? Are they going back to school? Are we going to alternate schedules? Are we going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Thursday? How are they going to do it? And so if we have these headsets, are they going to have them at the school, or are we going to allow students to take them home? And that becomes an issue. And then you also have with the home life, is it safe where the students are? And these are all the things that we were sort of finding with these podcasts. Students often like to go to school because there was a stability at school. There was a sense of safety that they always liked. And now they're at home all the time and they don't have that. Another one was the training aspect, is how are we going to train these people? How are we going to train teachers and the students on how to use virtual equipment? I know a lot of professors have not even used VR before, or they might have used it in the game, but they really haven't used it that much. So you've got to teach people how to use the controls, how to move through VR, and how to do it without getting motion sickness. So a lot of different challenges to wanting to do it. And I'm going to sort of show you here shortly on what are some of the great advantages of being able to use VR. Another challenge that we have is the challenge of interactive experiences. You can take a 360-degree camera and you can do a virtual immersive film experience. It's good, like this one here, you can see these penguins, but this is linear. You go through and it walks through as a movie and you look around and you can see what the penguins are doing, but you can't really stop and go over and look at one particular penguin. You can't really move from the path. It's like following a movie, but you have the ability to look around. So it's somewhat interactive, but it's not completely interactive. There's also a pedagogical challenge to content. As you interact with this material, you're going to be interacting with it alone. The International Space Station, you go aboard the space station and you're able to do different experiments. You're able to see what it's like to float in space. You're able to see what the Earth would look like from the space station. And it's pretty amazing to sit there and really get this experience. But again, it's by yourself. This other one is from the Anne Frank. And Anne Frank was the young girl that was finally caught by the Nazis. And with this one here, you are able to go into her room with a headset and you're able to walk around. You're able to look down in her diary and pick something up. You're able to look at the wall, and if there's a photograph there, you could pull it off the wall and you could look at it. You could hear different things. You could walk to the different rooms. Again, it was by yourself, but it was more interactive. So there's advantages and there's all these different challenges that we have with all this different gear. So we come with what are the possibilities on how we could challenge on these, overcome these challenges that we have. What we found out, or what I found out, was virtual reality simulation and collaborative software. I think this is something that we could do. It would work with the online environment. It's something that would work with QM. There's several companies that I'm going to sort of talk to about and give you a chance to experiment with. The first one is called Labster. And Labster is a virtual VR. And what you'll do is you'll see that there are, like this one here, he's got a little squid here that you're able to operate on. You're able to move around. You're able to see different things. Let me move this over here. Okay. And if I'm going too fast, please stop me and tell me to slow down or whatever. This sort of shows you what the abilities are. They have simulations of over 80 different labs. And you can do things with safety so that if you were operating with certain types of equipment, you could do an experiment without having to worry about something blowing up. The one problem I did find was as I was working with this particular company was sometimes I'd get more involved with trying to get the Petri dish open or put into a heater rather than actually getting the science of why I'm dealing with this Petri dish. So at times it was kind of slow. And again, this particular thing here is yourself working on it. You're doing it yourself. It's not necessarily a collaborative type effort. But there's a free subscription at the end of the presentation. I'll show you. You can use it. It's extremely good for stay at home. It's extremely good for doing a lot of different things that could be costly, or like atomic structure, which are difficult to actually do in a classroom, but virtually you could do this. And you can also do this straight from your computer. You don't necessarily have to have a VR headset. The next one is called spatial. I like spatial. Spatial sort of gives you this ability to go inside this world, and there are different objects that you can pick up, you can turn around, you can have different people participate in this. If they have a headset on, you'll see their half body like you do here. Or if you don't have a headset, you can have this screen here where you're able to talk and be seen. And you're able to actually converse with people back and forth in a live conversation. You're able to do a lot of different things. You can have multiple partners. You can embed a video in there so that if you're talking, you're able to put a video in there and show it. You could pull 3D objects in there and enlarge them or shrink them down. You could write notes, post-it notes, and post it on the wall and have virtual discussions going on. The one thing about it is this is what you look like. Kind of creepy. My hands were kind of red there. It's really odd. But the face itself is pretty good for it. It sort of gives you a realistic feeling. And what's nice about it is, as you do this, you start to get a sense of community. You start to get this sense of engagement, even though this particular one, you only see half the body. But that's what they have for that. The last one is called Engage. And that's what we're going to sort of show you today. It's not a sales pitch. We're not really selling it, but what we're doing is talking about the value of VR and what it can do and how it can help you out. And what you see here is you see a person that goes in there and she's doing some type of DNA explanation. And you'll see people that are actually sitting in this conference room, and they can sit around there and they can converse with this person. And she has a screen in the background that she can work with. There's a lot of different platforms they have. The Engage is also part of the VR education. And they have different platforms like this one here. Here is a oil rig deck out in the Gulf. And you could go out there and do experimentations, and you could have these live explosions out there. You could have a very unsafe environment, but you're totally safe if you were doing fire safety or you're working in an oil rig and you wanted to figure out what to do or how it works. You could do these types of things just by putting on the VR gear. So what we have lastly is VictoryXR. And that's what we're going to show you today. He has a series of educational products that you could use. Like this one here is for the dissection of a frog. And it's pretty cool. He has an instructor here. She actually stands there. She's almost like a holograph, and she gives you information. She talks to you, and then you go and you pick up these different instruments, and you can operate on the frog. You can cut him open. You can pick him up. You can dangle him. He's like a real frog. You can throw him on the floor. There's a radio that you can go turn on to have a little bit of background music. There's also charts here on the wall that you can interact with. It's a very interactive thing. And I think as we move forward, with the COVID-19, and we may not be going back, that something like this could be a good way for us to engage students. We do have to worry about the idea of technology and them having it, and as far as the expense. But I think with this, it can work on a computer as well. And certain, they have a Chromebook that they use, so we could do some of this. And maybe this is a slow process. We do it more with the academics at the university level and more through the high school and then down to the lower grades. But it's an extremely good way for us to interact. And so what we wanted to do was to allow you to see what it's like to actually be in this virtual world. So Steve and Danny are going to show us what it's like to be in this type of virtual world. You ready, Danny?
Okay.
Could be. Let's do it.
Let's
Okay.
do it. Hello, everybody. How are you? Thanks for joining us here inside VictoryXR Academy. So we're going to talk today about a little bit about virtual reality learning overall, but also we're going to talk about how we expect it to move forward as the year rolls out and as the next 5 years roll out. So what you're seeing here is our shared academy, meaning we can have many students. And so Danny, would you take the camera and sort of pan around to the back of the room so people can see what I call a lecture hall. My curriculum specialist says I'm a little bit out of touch. She would call it an auditorium, but this is an auditorium. And it's just like any other auditorium that students would sit in. So they can come, they choose a chair, they sit in it, and they begin to learn. So this is shared VR learning. But as you saw with the frog dissection, we also have individual simulators. So whether it's frog dissection or Newton's House of Forces or fetal pig dissection or so many others, there are plenty of ways that students can learn with an individual simulator. It doesn't have to be connected to the internet. And listening to what Carl was talking about with making sure that everyone has access to it, you know, the whole equity issue. Morehouse College, who we work with in Atlanta, Georgia, they just purchased 300 headsets through a grant for students to have access to in their summer program. Their summer program won't be on campus. These are lower income students. It's an opportunity to give them a heads up, a leg up, a head start. And so we are shipping a headset to every student, and they don't have to have access to the internet because they come preloaded with these virtual reality programs and these learning experiences. So that's one solution. But what we think is probably the real solution moving forward are these labs. So for example, a school might buy a cart of headsets that can move from classroom to classroom. And as you know, right now, you might build a chemistry lab at your school if you have some extra funding, or a biology lab, or an extra science center, a STEM center, for example. What we say is that, yes, you could do that, or you could buy a cart of headsets and come into a place like this, VictoryXR Academy, or we're sure that in the future others will be offering opportunities like this. So we are in the process of building out an entire campus that will launch in about 2 weeks. Now, what can you do with this sort of a campus? Well, we're going to show you a few things right here today, but at the same time, I want you to think about this. Is there anybody out there who's a Star Trek fan? I grew up a Star Trek fan, and I loved it when they could transport down to Earth, right? Okay, beam me up, beam me down. Maybe they never actually said those words, but this is the possibility, right? So we're building an astronomy center that should be completed within the next 2 weeks. And when you first enter the astronomy center, you'll look up and you'll see the planetarium. You'll be able to see the constellations. But in virtual reality, it's not enough to just look at the constellations. Why don't we get into this transporter and go up there and actually be among the constellations? And so that's what we will be able to do. So as you can see, this is an example of a class we had where students were sitting in class and learning. And so it works like the real world. You just have to have a headset on. So you can be at home, you can be in your office, you can be wherever you might be. But it also allows you to do things that you can't do, because obviously in the real world, you can sit in a lecture hall or an auditorium and learn, right? No big deal. But let me take you into our biology lab. Danny, can you follow me into the biology lab?
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
And I just want to also say that right now we're just looking at it through the computer. But if you had the VR headset, you are going to be in that room with Steve right now. And he's going to show you, maybe I'm still in some of the phone room, that he'll be able to hand you things and you'll be able to pick them up and turn them around. So while we're looking at it through a computer, it's a limited experience, but with a VR headset, it's a much more immersive, interactive, collaborative talking exercise.
All right, Danny, where are you here?
There's the heart on the table.
All right, so actually I'm gonna grab it and put it right here. And I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna take it over here, turn around, face the camera. Where are you, Danny? Did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
There he is. Get in front of you. There he is.
There we are. Okay. So now it's great that I can look at this heart, right? But what if I could step inside it? Now, you can see this is pretty sizable. I'm going to go ahead and just step inside it and learn about the ventricles as Wendy Martin, the science teacher, is teaching us about it. And every student can have their own heart. So Danny, let's see if I can get in there together. See if I can get the camera in here with me. Oh, there, yeah, okay. Very good. You see me yet, Danny? I'm in here.
Could this be an animated heart?
It could be. It's not right now. So yeah, so this is the type of thing that we can do with our IFX objects. So it's pretty cool, and you can do this with any organ, or you could do it with machines. Imagine stepping inside the engine of a car, teaching small engine, well, I guess that wouldn't be small engine repair, but teaching engine repair, right? So I'm gonna hop on out of here, and I'm gonna destroy the heart. So I'm gonna go back up here and finish my slide presentation here in the biology lab. Hang on real quick.
One of the things I want to talk about too while you're doing this, Steve, is just we're looking for job opportunities for graduates. Where are they going to work in the 21st century? And I think this is going to be a form of a job that they could also work into, is visualizing information and this collaborative. I was in a engaged session the other day, and the person was from England, the other person was from Arizona, and I was in Ohio, and we were all talking, and we were playing basketball.
This is Geraldine from Stanford. She was in here with us last week. So we've had inside VictoryXR Academy, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, University of Texas soon. Universities are looking at this because they know that even if students are back on campus, they can't be everything to everybody. One university said, you know, it's very expensive for us to buy human cadavers. They cost between $15,000 and $20,000 a piece. Could you create us a human cadaver? And we said, yes. And so you see up here, our human cadaver. And so anybody can reach inside that human cadaver and pull out an organ and learn from it. So I'm going to skip the background on our company. But one of the things that we did was we brought in people who know what they're doing. So Renee is a curriculum specialist, one of the best in the country. Wendy is a 20-year veteran of the science classroom. And so we are an education company first and a technology company second. And that's important because when you're creating curriculum, obviously it's easy to say, oh, I went to school and so I can create, you know, something about molecules. But understanding the difference between standards and how people learn, very important, and that's what these people bring to the table. We approach it from the VARC theory of learning: visual, oral, reading/writing, and kinesthetic. And as Carl was pointing out earlier, just a few minutes ago, inside VR, the beauty of it is that you can learn in all four ways simultaneously. So you see it, you hear it, and then you can pick it up and kinesthetically manipulate it. And then, of course, you can read, you can even write. I'm not going to show you how we write in here, but you can write in here. It's pretty cool. Because we're a little short on time, I'm not going to go through our pig dissection demo, but here's what we are doing in the curriculum design department. This is a whole new medium, right? I mean, a lot of people for hundreds of years have created curriculum that will be used in a classroom. But what has never been done before is to create curriculum in a virtual reality world, one that is interactive between students and a live instructor, all of it being live, like we are now. And so what's different? Now, for the most part, you can take a real world lesson plan and move it into virtual reality, but you have to do a few things different. What are the virtual field trips? So like, you know, you may take your students on a field trip in college or in high school or middle school, right? But can you take them to the Great Wall of China? One of the virtual field trips that we have is the Great Wall of China. Students can stand there and learn about engineering design. Engage has Mars as a field trip. How is that you know, being able to go to Mars in a field trip and be back in the same hour. Not too shabby, if you ask me. So which virtual field trips are you going to add into your curriculum for that lesson plan? What 3D objects? So that heart is nothing more than a 3D object. It's designed by graphic designers. And so we have 3,000 of these in our library for curriculum designers to choose from. And so that's all a part of that process. What are your standards? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your objectives? What are your ancillary pieces of information? What are your objects? What are your virtual field trips? You put them all together in one lesson plan, and suddenly you have this amazingly rich path for students to learn in ways that were never before possible. Skip that. So this is an example of what a lesson plan looks like. It's actually 3 pages. So you've got the objectives and the description and the sequence. Then you have your ancillary support. And then at the bottom, you can see the demonstratives and media. And those demonstratives and media are those that operate in a virtual reality world. So I don't need that. Carl, I'm gonna pause there and just throw it back to you and open it up for questions. But the last thing I would say is that as schools and universities begin thinking in terms of this, many people I talk to think, oh, that's years away, but it's not. All over the United States, we have schools that are buying carts of headsets and saying, how do we teach our kids in virtual reality? And so we are introducing this to them as other companies like Labster and others are doing as well. So that's the beginning of our conversation, Carl, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, well, Steve and I have been talking about this, and we're looking at different ways to present information. And you know, we're still with the COVID-19. We still have online courses. So you could have a French class where you could have a professor and the student, if they have the headset, could actually converse in French. They could go through there and they could talk about the different pieces. He could pick up something, he could pick up a chair, he could pick up a menu, and you could discuss what it was. If it was for criminal justice, you could go through a crime scene and actually look at the pieces and talk to the individuals. And you'd have to have actors do that, but you could have this very rich interactive type of experience. For computer forensics, you could go through an office space and say, this is what we're going to pick up. And people could say, well, why did you pick that up? What was the value of that? So over and over, you know, you could go on a virtual field trip. One of the engaged rooms that you go into is this World War II, and they have these very elaborate pictures on the wall that you could walk students through and you could talk about, or you can make your own. Art 150 was talking about how hard it'd be to go to some of these museums. You could create your own museum and have your own pictures on the wall, and you could go around with your students and you could converse why this picture was. You could zoom in on the photograph or the painting and talk about why it was a good painting or the strokes or what was good or bad about it, and have this, you know, very deep conversation. And we haven't even really talked about nursing or, yeah, I mean, there's just so many different opportunities, or biology and the chemistry class. Just a lot of different amazing things. So, Brandy, are we still with his screen? Or I guess we could leave it with you.
Yes, it's still on Steve.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions or ideas?
Should we go to the
There's
chat? Questions in
yeah.
chat?
Yeah, there is. There's a question here in the chat that says, what actual costs are involved and how realistic is this for universities to actually be able to incorporate, especially in light of current budgets?
Carl,
Well,
do you want me to go ahead? I can tell you about costs as far as I know them. We know them pretty well.
Sure. Steve is already working with this here, so go ahead first, Steve.
So there's a whole new group of headsets. There's a whole new group of headsets called like the Oculus Quest. They're untethered headsets, and they are going to cost between $400 and $800 a piece. So, you know, when you think about students who go and buy an iPad or a phone or a Chromebook, it's about the same cost as that. So some schools are buying a cart of them to be used in a lab, like the early days of computers, and others are considering having students purchase them. That I don't know anywhere where students have been required to purchase one yet, but it's under consideration. So let's say that you bought 20 Oculus Quest headsets, and I have an Oculus Quest headset on right now. Your cost would be about $8,500 for 20 of them. So nothing outrageous. And then subscriptions for what we do, and different people have different costs. But what you see here, the VictoryXR Academy with all the lesson plans and such, we charge $10 per student per year. And so that's a cost for the entire school. And if you're just doing it per class, then it's a different cost structure. But it's certainly not out of reach. If one were to try to build their own campus, then the cost would probably be in the range of $100,000 to $250,000. But it's certainly more reasonable if you're just going to lease a campus.
And I would also say that the part of this is the 21st century skill of being able to work collaboratively and working collaboratively over a global environment. And just learning how to use these tools. You go to some of these school districts where somebody had posted about they don't even have mobile phones, or they just have very simple phones. Those people there, how are they even going to understand what the opportunities are to get a good paying job? And what type of skills could they learn? If we did it through the K through 12 and they learn how to do this, and even at the university, we do it at they're learning skills that will transport into good paying jobs and able to do a lot of different things. So yeah, there is an additional cost, but you can use them over and over. Equipment does change, like I was talking about the rapid change of technology. The Oculus Quest now has the Link, which serves as like a Rift, so you have more of a capability to produce stuff. What was another question that we had?
Another question that's here is, oops, it just jumped. Sorry, hold on. What is the projected shelf life of this equipment considering the explosion of technology, and are there consistent standards for development across companies for compatibility?
Steve, you want to answer?
Absolutely. So we get this question a lot. The shelf life for the equipment is very long. Now, does that mean that you won't have a more advanced headset come out next year and the next year? It's very similar to your iPhone or your Android phone, right? What is the shelf life of your iPhone? I know a lot of people who are still using the iPhone 6, even though we're on the iPhone 11. Is the iPhone 11 better and more technology? Yes. Does the iPhone 6 still work really well? Yes. It's the same with these headsets. And with both the platform that we are using and the headset, it's just like the iPhone, right? The iPhone is the hardware, the Oculus Quest is the headset. Engage is the platform, and iPhone creates their platform. And so app developers build on top of the phone. And so whether you're using the Facebook app or the WhatsApp app or any of those, that's what we have built here, is essentially an app on top of a platform using virtual reality hardware. That's the best analogy that I can give.
Okay. And then Leona had a question too.
Yep. There is definitely value in the experiential learning that comes with 3D VR learning, especially with anatomy, museum visits, and even acclimating to operating machinery or space labs. But why do avatars have to be humanoid? Does it really help me as a learner that the AR instructor and co-students are in human form? Would floating blobs take up less bandwidth, i.e. sometimes a glitchy avatar is a distraction from the content experience being delivered?
Well, I use the Oculus Quest. I'll start off, Steve, and then I'll let you answer that one. There's a program called the Big Screen. It's on the Oculus Quest. And in that, you have an avatar head and you have these two hands. And it's hard to sort of really relate a whole bunch. I mean, because sometimes people are wearing a Viking headset or there's some weird looking person there. But it's not as, you don't build as much rapport with that type of one-headed blob as you do with, say, the spatial, which is half a body, but it's very realistic. But that's even different than from what Steve has here, which is the full body, and you're able to walk around and see this. It seems to make it more relatable as far as having an actual experience. And we're on a computer, but once you get the headset in there, you sort of blur that sense of matrix of what's real and what's not real. What do you say, Steve?
Yeah, so what I would say is this. If you go to Microsoft's AltSpace VR, then you'll see more cartoony characters that have very few, that are more blobby, but that's Microsoft's approach. That's all good. Facebook is rolling out theirs, which is sort of like a cartoon world. Everybody is a cartoon, and that's fine too. When we chose this platform, what we decided was that we wanted to help educators with that transition from the real world to the VR world and making things more realistic. You know, I had one person who was a little bit critical that we had built an auditorium very similar to the real world. He said, oh, you don't have to do that because you can build anything. You could have everybody sitting on their own planet in space instead and things like that. And that's true. But what we believe is that in the short term, there's value in making that leap from the real world to the virtual world a little bit more realistic. Now, when you go into our space center and you step into the transporter and you transport up to the spaceship and look at the nebula up close, you can't do that in the real world. And those are the sorts of things where we're stepping up. But different people are taking different approaches to that avatar. And I think your point is well taken.
Yeah. I think it's a good point.
Very good. All right, well, we have another one. Facebook rollout. Does that have anything to do with the new ability to make avatar stickers that appeared last week?
Say that one again.
Facebook rollout. Does that have anything to do with the new ability to make avatar stickers that appeared last week?
Wow.
I can tell you that Facebook's rollout of their new VR world like this is imminent, and they are starting to what their goal. So the short answer is yes, it does, because they want to own the world of social, right? And so they want everybody to create their own avatar. And then if they're not engaging in the 2D world on the Facebook screen, phone or computer, then they want them socializing together in the VR world. So either way, yes, I think the short answer is yes, it does have something to do with it.
And Facebook, it's with Oculus, they're coming out with the Frontier. It's still in beta, but you're able to play a lot of games and move around, and you can look, the avatar can look sort of like you. You know, some of these programs like this one here, Steve is more handsome than he is right here, but you know, it still is a fairly good resemblance of what he looks like.
You know, here's the cool thing with this platform, Carl, is
What's
you
that?
take a selfie of yourself, you upload it into the platform, and it largely replicates what you look like. Now, I will tell you, I have more gray hair than what you see here. Not a lot more, but a little. So you can do that as well.
Okay. And was there another question here?
I'm looking for questions.
Luckily, the Engage platform supports just about every 6 degrees of headsets under the sun.
That's right. Oculus Rift, Oculus Quest, Vive, the great HP Reverb headset, the Steam headset, the Pico Neo 2 headset, and maybe now the Pico G2. So the older version headsets, those that are based on phones or like the Google headset, they're not going to work on it, but any of the new ones will, and the more robust headsets will all work.
Right. So at the end of the presentation, we'll give you the URL for Labster. You can also try that. Labster, again, it's not going to be this interactive. It's going to be more like you're going to do these experiments and you're going to be able to do these things, but you're going to do it by yourself. And you'll find out that it gets a little clunky at times because you're trying to open a petri dish. You're trying to figure out how to get the code off the rack so that you can start to experiment and things like that.
Carl, here's another question. How complex is the creation of content in this environment? Is it similar to Second Life?
So first of all, in VictoryXR Academy, we provide all of the assets that you need. And once you have the assets, then creating your own lesson plans becomes pretty easy. We also have a search engine where you can search for lesson plans that are already put together for you, so you don't have to create it. Outside of VictoryXR Academy, on the Engage platform as a whole, they've done the same thing. They've created places to go, they've created assets, etc. So that's essentially, I would say it's very similar to Second Life. It's better than Second Life, obviously, because it's newer and better tech. And it's pretty straightforward and pretty easy. But like what we have is our own proprietary classrooms that are really made specifically for learning. Engage has some of their own rooms as well that people can use. So either way, it's a pretty straightforward process that doesn't take too long to figure out.
So what if I wanted to create a campus, Ashland campus, to allow students to put on a headset and actually have a guide walk them through? Is that possible?
It's possible. It's a bit of a, you need some people who are specialized in creating 3D objects, and then also people who know how to code within the Engage platform. Then you need a special deal with Engage. But so once you put all those things together, it is possible.
Anything's possible. Okay.
Anything is possible. Not easy, but possible.
Okay.
And I would also say this, Carl, before we cut off here. Like Labster, VictoryXR has a 30-day free trial. If somebody wants to use it, just reach out to us at VictoryXR.com and try out our free trial. If you need headsets, we'll take care of you there as well.
Yeah, and I think this really shows what we can do, and this is a QM conference, but the online aspect of it, of learning online and different ways we could do it.
There's a couple more questions that are just coming in.
Okay.
This next one is, yours is a beautiful platform. Is it built with Unity?
Is it what?
Built with Unity.
Oh, we have somebody who knows what they're talking about out there. So yes, as for those of you that may not know, there are two engines that people primarily build on: Unreal, which is where Fortnite comes from, and Unity, where a lot of other things come from. We have chosen Unity as our platform because it works well for what we need to do. But if you're like doing a photorealistic world for cinema or something like that, you might use the Unreal engine. They're both great engines. We build ours on Unity. So very thoughtful question.
I compare it to Pepsi or Coke. Which do you like? They're both very good. But can you build in Unity or build in Unreal and Engage?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but my guess is you have to be. I don't think there's any reason you couldn't.
Okay. Okay.
Here's the next question. I am looking at transferring my face-to-face escape room to online. How difficult would this be to use different objects? It's not a normal classroom activity. Would this need to specially be designed? Specially designed?
Wow.
Yes, it would be. That's something we would be willing to have a conversation with at VictoryXR. Those are the sorts of things that we are adding to our campus. So if you want to have a conversation, just reach out to us. But yeah, I would say if you wanted to explore doing it yourself, look at, there are various platforms out there, more than just, obviously, you've got AltSpace, you've got Engage, Facebook is coming out with theirs, and there's 5 to 10 other platforms that are similar to this. They all have different advantages and disadvantages. Some allow you to use objects like we've shown you today, and some don't. It's almost none of them allow you to import objects in. You have to have a special license with the platform usually to do that. But I don't know the details of every platform. So, you know, it's worth doing some of your research on that to make an informed decision.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Okay, so how are we doing on time?
About 4 minutes.
We got about 4 minutes. Let's see, is there anything else you can think of, Steve, that we should? Oh, here comes another question. You want to read?
Our one-to-one EDU content, such as our award-winning frog dissection, were all built in Unity. That means that translating our 3D objects to Engage is a simple matter of taking the assets from the original experience, popping them in here, and bam, done.
I have a feeling that Danny, our cameraman and tech lead, wrote that answer because he couldn't stand the fact that I was answering it so poorly.
That was Danny that answered that one.
I knew.
I like the bam, done.
Well, Carl, if it's okay, I'll just make some final remarks and
that sounds good.
Exit stage left. You know, my view is this: if you're watching this now, then you've made a decision to potentially be on a journey into what is really not a incremental change in the way we deliver education, but a revolutionary change. And a lot of us are going to go on this journey together. We are looking for curriculum creators, people who want to create curriculum. You own your own IP. If that's something that you are interested in, please contact us at VictoryXR.com. We would love to have you. Our plan is to roll out 100 lesson plans that are a part of at least 50 courses by this fall. And so suddenly we will open up the entire world to a way of learning that's never been possible before. And especially in this COVID-19 era, we think that there are opportunities to expedite us down this path on this journey. So we would love to work with you. Thanks for having us. And I hope this was at least interesting.
Very good. Thank you there, Steve. Thank you, Danny. Let's see, do I get the screen back? Okay, so if there's no more questions, let's see, should I put it in here, I guess? Is get the link for the LinkedIn for the.
I did add in the links as you were presenting them, Carl. So the links to your presentation sites are within the chat.
Oh, okay, good, good. Here's the one for Labster. I'll put that in there. And Labster is basically, it's open, all their products. Again, we're not trying to sell anything. I'm not making any money on any of this. I just think this is an extremely interesting way to do it. We still have to look at the accessibility aspect of it. You know, someone who's blind or is deaf, you know, there's certain hesitations with that, but on the whole, I think it's an excellent way to do it. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next session.
Thank you very much, Carl and Steve. This was a really great presentation. I'm very excited to have gotten to moderate this session. This was probably, you know, don't tell anyone, but maybe my favorite so far of the day. So right now I am putting in the links then for all of the next sessions. So you can choose which session you'd like to go to next. The links are all there then. You can just click on those and go to the next one. So I hope you're enjoying today. I think we've had some really fantastic presentations. And again, I thank you, Carl and Steve, for this really great interactive presentation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks, Danny. I'm going to close it out now.
Give everyone just a second in case they want to use those links
Oh,
to
okay.
bounce to another room. But Carl, I am going to leave. That way I can get to my next room.
Yeah, I've got one more to go to myself.
Okay. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Joy. Thank you for coming. Tom, nice to meet you. If there's anything you need, just let us know. Can we access? Yes, you'll be able to access it. Can you post the correct link to engage? I thought that was the correct link that we had there. I can put it up there again. Engage VR. Trina, the free subscription was to Labster, Labstr, and it's a free virtual lab program.